Now here's a story about a very brave fireman.
In the whole town of Cedarville Creek, there was nobody who was as brave and ready, staunch and steady, tried and true as the red, white, and blue than Frankie the fireman. At least that's what he kept telling himself as he shined his badge, polished his engine, and tested the fire siren. The trouble was that nobody else in Cedarville Creek took him at all seriously. In fact, they joked in fun and poked in fun and teased him all the time.
They call him Funny Frankie Fireman all over the town, and laugh ho ho ha ha hee hee when he comes around. They still remember when he tried to hook up the hose and wound it all around him from his toes to his nose. And now he's just a clown in town wherever he goes. Frankie the Funny Fireman. They call him Funny Frankie Fireman all over the town, and laugh ho ho ha ha hee hee when he comes around.
They still remember when they had that fire, no doubt. He slid right down the fire pole and knocked himself out. They had to squirt him with the hose to bring him about. Frankie the Funny Fireman. They call him Funny Frankie Fireman all over the town,
And laugh ho ho ha ha hee hee when he comes around.
they still remember how his hat slid over his ears.
Marching while the firemen paraded to cheers.
He couldn't hear the music and it marched on for years. Frankie the Funny Fire, Frankie the Funny Fire, Frankie the Funny Fireman.
But Frankie didn't want to be funny. No, sir, he wanted to be a fireman who was brave and ready, staunch and steady, and tried and true as the red, white, and blue. So he shined his badge, polished his engine, tested his fire siren, and waited for something to happen. Clang, clang, there was the fire alarm now. Hurrying, scurrying down the pole slid the other firemen. Lickety-split into the engine they jumped and drove off without him. Before Frankie even had time to pin on his shiny fireman's badge. "Oh," said Frankie as he sadly walked alone to the fire, "I guess I'm not a brave and ready, staunch and steady, tried and true as the red, white, and blue fireman after all." And big tears splashed all over his face, for Frankie felt like a real disgrace, and he knew he'd never get to the place in time to put out the fire. And he could just imagine what all the other firemen were doing right now.
Firemen, firemen all around, stretching the hose out over the ground. Up the ladders, 1, 2, 3, saving people, yes sirree.
Spraying water, swish, slash, woof, into the windows, onto the roof.
Firemen, firemen in the nick, putting out the fire quick.
Yes, by the time Frankie got there, the fire was out, and all the firemen had left the scene, and the people around were calm and serene. Ruff, ruff! But wait a minute, what was that? Ruff, ruff! He could hear it now, clearly too, and his eyes looked up, and then he knew a puppy dog was trapped like a mouse in the third-story room of that burnt-up old house that was about to collapse, and Frankie the fireman went into action.
Frankie Fireman rushed inside, brushing all the smoke aside. Up the staircase, 1, 2, 3. Now where could that puppy be? Arfie heard him bark again, found him safe and sound, and then picked him up just in the nick, got him out of the old house quick.
As Frankie ran out the front door, carrying the little puppy in his arms, a great big shout went up from the crowd, and they all cheered Frankie long and loud. And from then on, he was the hero of Cedarville Creek, and they talked about Frankie week after week, of the brave and ready, staunch and steady, tried and true as the red, white, and blue finest fireman of all.
Frankie the Funny Fireman.